Hello and welcome to another edition of Athletes Corner, and today we are joined by Marnelle Garraud. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. First time here.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot is happening in your life.
Yeah, a good amount, yeah.
A good amount. Mm-hmm. But before we get into all of that, let's get right into it. August 12th, there's a basketball clinic, you, Matt Cross, at Salem State.
Yes.
What got you involved and how did this all come about?
One of my main goals for the summer was find a way to give back to my community, whether that be a basketball clinic or just mentoring somebody, some little girls or other athletes. And so I was fortunate enough to have Salem State help me with that. And so me and Matt Cross, with the help of David Babb, organized this clinic for the youth, just to give them good fundamentals, like stuff that I had when I was younger, and help them get to wherever they want to be.
Yeah, how was it getting it together, just getting the venue, getting Salem State behind it, and then just being able to put out the information for people to find out?
Yeah, I think they made it really easy. I think they were quickly got on board with it just for the fact that it's a great thing for the community, and it's also, me and Matt have so much experience playing in the collegiate level, so I felt like we had a lot to share with the youth. So they got behind it pretty quickly, and then they were stoked to give us the resources and the space. So yeah, it came together pretty quick, which I'm very grateful for, and then I'm really excited to be able to have people come and have fun.
Definitely. Is it a lot easier when just a school or just anywhere that has a facility is just, oh, you guys want to do something here, instead of, because sometimes people want to do something and then people that have facilities give you a wraparound, or they just give you a hard time to get it.
Right.
Is it just that much easier when they just like, oh, okay, nothing, let's get this, let's get it going?
If they didn't, I don't know, it would have been at a park, an outdoor park or something, or had to find somebody else to maybe pay for them to make you run a clinic, then you get the charge. And one of the things, I didn't want to charge a lot, mostly because I wanted to be like as many people to be able to come to it as much. So it was a very big help for them to be on board with it, like right on from the start. So yeah, that took away a lot of the stress.
Now for the clinic, what grades are we looking at?
I think it's around grades 3 through 8, I think, roughly around that age. So.
And that's also interesting time frame for kids, because at that point they're playing it, and then once they get to like middle school, high school, that's when you start weeding out who plays for fun or who takes it seriously.
Yeah.
Is that like just like a good start, just to see who be interested, or for the kids, just so, to do this part, to do this phase of the basketball journey, and see if they're going to be interested or not, because some people lose interest.
I know. So the thing for me, I started playing basketball when I was in 5th grade, which is late for some people. And when I was at that age, I was freshly just doing it for fun. I was not very good. And so I went to camp, and one of the first camps I went to was Salem State. I did like the 5-day girls camp, and it was with me and a bunch of friends, and it was strictly for fun. I was not that good at all, and so like having that experience like made me want to keep playing basketball, because it was fun. I was around my friends, and so that's kind of the experience I want to give to the people at the clinic. Like, it doesn't have to be. It can be like serious. It can be serious, and like you're gonna get a lot of skills. And if you want to push yourself, you have that experience. But then also to make it fun, it's just for kids to like enjoy playing sports, enjoy being outside and being active.
I know. As far as you, seeing like you and Matt doing this, just the importance of, players that's gone to the next level, that's played at a certain level, coming back, because we see it, especially around Lynn. We've seen a lot of guys that played in their days, or that are still playing, they come back and they help out. Just how important is that for the younger players that love playing basketball, just to see people that went places, that traveled to the nation, and they're back here, and they're giving them the experience and just showing them what could happen if you take it seriously.
Yeah, I always think back to who I looked up to when I was growing up, and it was literally right. Like, you think of them now, and they're probably not huge names, but I went to a BU game, and it's like the players who maybe even sat on the bench. Like, you look at them, you're like, oh my gosh, I aspire to be them. So like, they might not see you as this big player, but the fact that like you come and you tell your story, where you've been, like they're gonna look up and aspire to that. I remember I was like Sherelle and Brianna from St. Mary's. Like, when I went to St. Mary's for the first year, they were still around, and so like I was training with them, like I listened to them, things like that, and just having that experience just like, okay, they did it, I want to do what they did and maybe even do better than it did.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for the youth. Like, they see me, and instead of getting to Power 5, they're like getting to the WNBA. Like, they keep climbing the ladder, and that's how you build like a community up in terms of like having good basketball culture.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into your basketball journey. As you say, you started off at St. Mary's, played there for 2 years, and then you transferred to Nobles. What's kind of maybe the differences in play or the differences in your game from what year 1 and 2 at St. Mary's, and then when you got to Nobles, how did it develop over time in those span?
I think naturally, gradually, as you get older, you start adding things to your game, the more serious you take it. Obviously, I took it pretty seriously coming into high school, but then going to Nobles is just, I wouldn't say, like, I shot pretty, like, the three-point shot was, like, pretty prominent at St. Mary's, and I carried that over, went to Nobles. I think I just gained confidence as I got older with time playing. But that was, like, primarily one of the reasons why I wanted to go for basketball, but then also just academically to just be challenged. Like, in some of the Lynn schools or at St. Mary's, I had a 4.2. Like, not saying that Lynn schools are bad, but, like, for me, I just wanted to be challenged. So I think having the part of things that I want to teach at the clinic too is the importance of knowledge, and just like if you take school seriously, like, it can open so many doors for you, and just the pathway of whatever you want to do. So
yeah. Was the transition pretty smoothly for you when you were leaving St. Mary's and going to Nobles? Because it's all the way in Dedham.
Yeah. Luckily, they had a boarding program, so it made it a little bit easier not having to commute all the time. But it was obviously an adjustment. It's not something I was used to. The culture is different. The environment, the city of Dedham, the makeup of it is not as diverse as Lynn, but I was there for a reason, and I was grateful for everything at my experience there. So. Yeah,
and then you move on to play at Boston College, playing ACC basketball, highest level. How's that experience, and also just the whole college experience, being able to go to a Division I program and also get the full college experience? How's that for you?
I loved it. Like I said, I'm like a sponge for knowledge, so I loved the major. I ended up studying business, so I loved my professors and what I ended up learning. And then balancing basketball, I feel like I've been doing that my entire life in terms of being like a nerd in the classroom, but then also being like challenging myself on the court. So that wasn't much of a challenge. The biggest challenge, I guess, was the adjustment from high school to college, and that's going to be any player's adjustment going from high school to college, and it differs from player to player, but you learn that the speed is different. You learn that the workload is different, that they demand so much more time of you every single day. Your body's hurting in like ways that you didn't know. Like, so that's kind of the adjustment, I think, the biggest thing. And then you learn like the mental aspect of everybody who's at that level was their best player in the high school. You got to learn how to be different, separate yourself, and that may not come your freshman year. It didn't come my freshman year, but you keep working and you build mental toughness.
That's one thing people always say is the speed. That's the first thing people say about the transition.
It's true.
Is the speed of the game.
It's true. It's like, even if doesn't seem that fast, it's like thinking that fast, especially in a system that like is new to you with players that you don't know. So making decisions is probably, for me, was the hardest thing to adjust, making decisions at a faster pace. So. Yeah, that was probably my biggest thing.
You go from there to ACC, then you go to the SEC for that 1 year at Vanderbilt. How was that one? Because these are two conferences that are always very competitive, and then you're going to a pretty academically, a high academic institution at Vanderbilt. Just how were you able to handle all that? Because playing basketball and being at Vanderbilt, and then the academic aspect too of that.
Yeah. Well, for one, I would say that both the ACC and the SEC are arguably one of the best conferences in the country. I would say that SEC is a little bit more physical in terms of there are some big girls in the SEC, and so if you don't match up sometimes inch for inch, you're already at a disadvantage. That was probably the biggest thing I felt playing in the SEC, but still I had a lot of fun. But I would say, Boston College is a pretty academic school as well. I was lucky that my program that I was in, I did a master's program in marketing. It was only a 1 year program, but my teachers and my academic support system were pretty like flexible and like helping me and like with my schedule. So I feel like most places you go that are really good in academics and really good at basketball, like they have a system in place to help you with that. But for the most part, it wasn't too bad.
Okay. When you know what you're doing. That's why. Because most kids, they struggle their first like semester because they're trying to figure everything out, how to plan everything. But when you kind of know what you're doing, it's all flows. Understand overseas is next?
Yes, I'm going to play in Spain. I just learned that I'm leaving on the 21st this month. So
okay, you got 20 days to get prepared.
Yeah, 20 more days to get tip top. But I'm excited to play. So that season will be like a little over 7 months, depending on how it ends. But yeah,
definitely. One more question. Who's the best in the family? Her two brothers played as well.
They did play, Mark and Philip.
Yeah, who gets the bragging rights?
I mean, I feel like it's me, but Mark, he has his claim to fame sometimes. So he's growing. He's still a growing boy, so he'll figure it out.
Yeah, Mark is something else. Mark is something else. Before we get out of here, let them know once again the date of the clinic, and if they're still interested in registering, let them how they can do that.
Yeah, so the date is August 12th, and if you want to register, you can either reach out to me and I can forward you the email registration link, or if there's a flyer on my Facebook and on my Instagram, you can email the registration, and yeah, you can show up and have a good time. It should be a good time of learning basketball, but also having fun. We have 2 sponsors, iSlide and Moolah, and there'll be giveaways and camp competitions. So it should be a good afternoon of fun.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
For coming. I'm going to show you that video once I pull it up. But you guys have been watching the Athletes Corner. Thank Marnelle for coming by. Have a good one.
Thank you.